Today, we're diving into the core of your posture, literally. Most people think of posture as just sitting or standing up straight, but true posture begins deeper, at the architectural center of your skeleton. At the heart of this structure lies the arch of the pelvis and the sacrum, the hidden keystone that distributes forces, maintains balance, and orchestrates alignment throughout the body. Think of your skeleton like a suspension bridge. The sacrum is the central keystone, while the pelvic bones are the curved supports. Every step, shift, or twist involves this structure adjusting to keep you upright and efficient. This bony arch doesn't just support your spine, it redirects the gravitational forces of your body, balancing weight between the upper and lower halves, allowing for movement without collapse. Let's explore how this intricate structure not only holds you up, but dynamically adjusts your entire skeleton for balance and coordinated motion, from walking and running to sitting and breathing. The sacrum is a wedge-shaped bone at the base of the spine, nestled between the two halves of the pelvis. Its shape isn't arbitrary, it's designed for stability and force transfer. As the keystone of the pelvic arch, the sacrum distributes compressive forces from above, your torso and spine, outward and downward into the hips and legs. It converts vertical forces into diagonal thrusts, much like a keystone in a stone archway, prevents collapse by redirecting stress outward. This geometry allows the sacrum to adjust subtly during motion, whether you're walking, bending, or sitting. Micro movements in the sacrum help preserve equilibrium by fine-tuning how forces are shared across the pelvis and spine. A well-positioned sacrum, angled slightly forward, optimizes this distribution. It prevents excessive pressure on the coccyx, allows spinal curves to stack properly, and supports elastic, responsive movement throughout the body. The pelvis isn't just a container for your organs, it's a force-dispersing platform that anchors and adjusts your entire musculoskeletal system. Composed of three bones, ilium, ischium, pubis, fused into two hip bones, and joined to the sacrum at the back, the pelvic girdle forms a closed ring. This structure acts as both a cradle and a bridge, absorbing forces from the spine above and the legs below, and redistributing them symmetrically. When you walk or stand, ground reaction forces travel upward from your feet into the femurs and then into the pelvis. Simultaneously, gravitational forces from your upper body move downward through your spine and sacrum. The pelvis meets these opposing forces in the middle and adjusts itself, tilting, rotating, or stabilizing to keep you balanced. Even when sitting, your sit bones form a tripod with your sacrum, allowing micro-adjustments that keep your spine upright. If instead you slump back onto your tailbone, that dynamic balancing system collapses and posture suffers. At the junction of the sacrum and each ilium lies the sacroiliac (SI) joint, a marvel of design that fuses strength with just enough flexibility. These joints are not highly mobile, but their slight movements are essential. They act as tension regulators in your skeletal system. When you shift your weight, twist your torso, or take a step, the SI joints allow minute adjustments in the angle between your spine and pelvis. This tiny give is what prevents jarring forces from traveling unbuffered up the spine. Like a suspension system in a car, the SI joints manage shock absorption and transmit force fluidly between the trunk and legs. This is especially important in activities like running, where asymmetrical forces, one leg landing before the other, require constant balancing by the pelvis and sacrum. Without the SI joint's responsiveness, the spine would bear excessive loads, leading to strain and injury. Now let's move to the dynamic interface between pelvis and legs, the hip joint. This ball and socket joint, where the head of the femur fits into the acetabulum of the pelvis, allows for a remarkable range of motion. But what's more impressive is how load and balance are coordinated here. When you walk, one leg bears weight, while the other swings forward. During that brief moment, the pelvis adjusts by tilting and rotating, allowing you to stay upright. This is a closed kinetic chain, where movement in the femur affects pelvic tilt, and pelvic motion influences spinal alignment. The Q angle, particularly relevant in those with wider pelvises, changes how forces pass through the knee and hip. A larger angle can lead to inward tracking of the femur and increase stress on the knees. This makes skeletal alignment at the hip joint critical, not just for movement, but for long-term joint health. As you bend down or twist, the femur rolls and glides in its socket, the pelvis adjusts its tilt, and the sacrum responds by rotating slightly. These bones work in synergy to distribute weight, prevent joint strain, and keep your center of gravity stable. True postural alignment is a chain reaction, starting from the ground and rising all the way to your head. But its central pivot is the sacrum and pelvic arch. When the sacrum is properly angled, it sets up the natural curves of the spine, the lumbar lordosis, thoracic kyphosis, and cervical curve. These curves aren't random. They're shock absorbers that help distribute loads efficiently during motion and while at rest. Now picture the line of gravity that ideally travels from the crown of the head through the ear, shoulder, pelvis, and ankle. Any change in the sacral angle, too far forward, anterior tilt, or too flat, throws off this alignment, forcing the rest of the spine to compensate. That's how bad habits, like slouching at your desk or standing with your hips pushed forward, can pull the sacrum out of place, unbalancing the arch. The result? Forward head posture, compressed lumbar discs, and unstable knees. But when the arch of the pelvis is balanced, the sacrum adjusts naturally, and the entire skeleton stacks in a way that supports efficient movement, breath, and balance. Thank you for watching.